from AIPAC.
Is it America first to take money from a foreign lobby so you'll send taxpayer dollars to that country? Even the question kind of answers itself. Obviously it isn't. And that's not an attack on Israel. It's certainly not anti-Semitism, despite the efforts of many to claim that it is.
There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided TPUSA for debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll, and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up.
But I have the list here. Don't worry, guys. Egypt is not on the list.
You cited during your speech truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism. Why, therefore, did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967 on the USS Liberty, which left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded?
What's going on, everybody? Today, I'm going to react to about 10 different clips from Ben Shapiro, Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Vivek Ramaswamy, and perhaps somebody, Erika Kirk as well. And over the last day or two, I've seen just little clips on X of people's speeches. It's a lot of stuff going on since Charlie is dead. There is absolutely a lot of infighting. I think Charlie was the glue that held a lot of this together. And people are really just taking shots at each other, metaphorically, obviously. I just realized when I said that it was a little weird, but they're taking blows or taking aim at each other with their words. I don't know if that was any better. And I'll give my opinion on every single clip. So this should be an interesting live stream. I got like 10 clips or so loaded up. Some of them I've seen in full, others I haven't, but that's the premise of this video. Dream Rare Podcast starts now. Thank you guys so much for being here.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? So, I'm being a fatty today. Instead of getting a coffee, I got a cookie butter latte. It's just that time of the year. So, cheers up to everybody. Merry Christmas to the Christians. Happy Hanukkah to the Jews. Happy Kwanzaa to people that celebrate that. And I really need to figure out what Muslims do this time of year, because I know Ramadan happens at a certain point, but I don't know what that is. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. So God bless everybody. I'm going to take a sip of my cookie butter latte because it's delicious. And nothing says winter like just getting 500 calories in a latte that you shouldn't be drinking. Let's play some clips. I got a bunch of them. I guess I'll start with this clip right here. This is Ben Shapiro, and let's hear what he has to say. I'm going to go through Tucker, Ben, Erika, Vivek Ramaswamy, Steve Bannon, James O'Keefe, Erika Kirk. I guess we'll start with Ben.
That actually get at the truth. If we agree with the guest, that's fine, but we should own it. So, for example, if you host a Hitler apologist, Nazi-loving, anti-American piece of refuse like Nick Fuentes, the Nick Fuentes who said that the Vice President of the United States is a, quote, fat gay race traitor married to a Jeet.
I mean, that's definitely not funny. That's definitely really mean, and I condemn all the hatred in the world. I will condemn it, and it will all go away. Me, Piers Morgan, Ben Shapiro, we will sit in a circle, and we will condemn, and all the hate will disappear. People said too soon earlier. I just want to let people know I didn't mean the metaphors like purposely when I said like take aim and shots. It's just these are just words I use. It's like taking blows, people dissing each other. It's common phrasing. It's not like I didn't purposely do that, by the way. So I guess Ben took part of his speech to go after Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson for platforming Nick. Let's hear the rest of it.
The person who said that Charlie Kirk was a, quote, retarded idiot. The person who said, and pardon my language here, it's his quote, that he, quote, took Turning Point USA and fucked it, and that's why it's filled with groypers. If you have that person on your show and you proceed to glaze him, you ought to own it. There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh D'Souza for debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll, and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up. And he ought to take responsibility for that, just as he ought to take responsibility for glazing pornographer and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate, or for mainstreaming fake historian and pseudo-Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper as America's best and most honest popular historian. Hosts are indeed responsible for the guests they choose and the questions they ask those guests.
So Ben is now angry at pornographer Andrew Tate, but not the pornographers that wear the same little hats that Ben does. I think a rabbi owns Pornhub, but I don't think Ben has a problem with that. If you want to know someone who did have a problem with Ben's, totally not people owning the pornography industry, you could listen to Billy Graham, the most famous evangelical on the Nixon tapes. He had a big issue with that. Most Christians don't even know that, by the way, what Billy Graham wanted to tell Nixon on the Nixon tapes, but you could look that one up and have fun. So he takes shots at Daryl Cooper, who seems like a really nice guy. And Ben tries to frame him as a Nazi apologist because he does historical pieces where he tries to be more accurate than just saying like good, bad, yes, right. It's like, yeah, we know, we've heard that a million times, but people want to know like I don't know, it's like America good, China bad, America good, Russia bad, Ukraine good, Russia bad. Yeah, we've heard that story a billion times. Thanks, bro. With that being said, the Tucker part is interesting because, Charlie really didn't like Nick Fuentes. Like he really didn't. And I think Ben's wrong where he's like, oh, you gave him a platform or elevated him or something. It's like Nick is inevitable at this point. Piers Morgan didn't give Nick a platform. Nick is graciously giving Piers Morgan more views than he'd get with another guest. So that's where a lot of these opportunists are right now. And I'm not saying Tucker Carlson's an opportunist because I like Tucker Carlson, but it's like, I don't think Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan would have had a problem blacklisting Nick for like the next 30 years. But it's like Nick's allowed on YouTube now. Nick gets a lot of views. Nick gets more views than they do for the most part. So now it's one of those things where it's like, all right, I might as well have this guy on since everybody's having him on. And Piers Morgan and Tucker had definitely a different interview towards it. I think Piers Morgan was just trying to have like gotcha moments the whole time where Tucker just let him talk and didn't really challenge him at all. So that's like the tricky part where it's, everybody wants to pretend like Charlie was who they were. And Charlie really was like a mix of everybody. Like Charlie was pro-Israel, but Charlie wasn't doing everything that the Zionists wanted him to do. So they were smearing him as an anti-Semite. They were pressuring him, even though he capitulated 95% of the time, but 100% is what they wanted. Charlie didn't like Nick Fuentes, and then Tucker did have him on his podcast after Charlie died. I don't know if Charlie would like that. Maybe he wouldn't have, so it's one of those nuanced things, but Ben makes my skin crawl. And here's the thing that I want to say about words and like, Ben is so like, Ben is what they want other people to be. He's a really like slick snake. And so many people try to be like Ben, but they're not as slick as him. People like this will convince you that like Daryl Cooper's a bad guy because he questions history. Tucker's a bad guy because he has Nick Fuentes on. Nick Fuentes is a bad guy because he said mean words to JD Vance's wife, which I do think is a little tasteless. There's a nicer way to like make your racial arguments. But here's the thing. Ben says all this stuff like I'm a better person because they're all mean boys and mean girls. Meanwhile, Ben Shapiro like was horrible during the pandemic. And I'm just going to play a clip real quick. I probably should wait to play this one, but I'm not going to. Here's him acting shocked that Pfizer and the government lied. So what's worse, a mean word that Nick said, Daryl Cooper questioning history that Ben doesn't want him to, or Ben Shapiro getting a large portion of the pandemic wrong, trying to convince people to get vaccines when now he admits he got lied to by Pfizer and the government? To me, it's a bigger error and more evil and wrong to do what Ben did, but it's always this like passive aggressive. It's what the left does. They'll like destroy your life, but act like they're your best friend while they're doing it. Well, I'm not saying mean words while I'm taking your money and stealing your taxes. Well, I'm locking in your house and doing vaccine mandates, but I'm your best friend. Like that's what the left does. Ben, he's sneaky in the same way where it's like he does egregious things that hurt way more people than what Daryl Cooper does, but he just acts like he's not doing it. So here's him apologizing after the pandemic.
But we now know that we were lied to by everyone. We were lied to by the scientists. We were lied to by Pfizer. We were lied to by the government. We were lied to by the Biden administration. We were lied to. I don't like being lied to. I don't know about you. And it makes me not believe these people.
I don't like being lied to. And I don't know about you, but it makes me not believe it. It's like, Ben, first of all, I always roast him for that little jacket. I call it an Oshkosh Bagosh jacket because when you're like, when you're shopping for like babies, I've always seen it like, Kmart or one of those stores. They have like Oshkosh Bagosh for like the kids section. This looks like a little Oshkosh Bagosh, like medium-sized jean jacket that Ben's wearing here.
But we now know that we were lied to by everyone. We were lied to by the scientists. We were lied to by Pfizer. We were lied to by the government. We were lied to by the Biden administration. We were lied to.
We were lied to. Why would a journalist and a news analyst just believe the government, believe Pfizer, believe everyone, and then make mistakes and be like, it's not my fault, I was just tricked? A journalist shouldn't trust or believe what the government says. A journalist shouldn't trust or believe what Pfizer says. But apparently, Ben just never thought of that, right? But he's a better person because he didn't say mean words to JD Vance. So he's so good. He's such a good person because he's just so nice. Let me show a clip, and I know the Zionists really hate this one, so say a prayer for your boy because they get really mad when I play this compilation that I made, by the way. I made this compilation. This is Ben Shapiro and Louis Farrakhan on the vaccine. Ben Shapiro during 2020, 2021 was really furious that black people weren't getting the vaccine. Meanwhile, Louis Farrakhan, the arch enemy of Ben Shapiro and the Zionists, was telling people not to trust it. So I just made this compilation because I thought it was hilarious. But remember, Ben's a really good person because Louis Farrakhan's a mean boy, and Daryl Cooper's a mean boy, and Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes are mean boys. But Ben's so good because he's such a nice boy. Like, that's what they want you to think. But here's my awesome compilation that I made. And I've never said I made it, but I'm giving myself credit now.
And we have seen a tremendous amount of vaccine hesitancy, unfortunately, in the Black and Hispanic community.
If they come up with a vaccine, be careful. Yes, sir. Don't let them vaccinate you with their history of treachery through vaccines.
Okay, Black America, only 67% of Black Americans say they definitely will get the vaccine or probably get the vaccine. So the Black community has tremendous vaccine hesitancy. Okay, that is a real problem.
They're making money now, plotting to give 7,500,000,000 people a vaccination. Yes, that's right. Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates and Melinda. Yes, sir. That's right. That's right. Yes, sir. You want to depopulate the earth. Yes, what the hell gives you that right?
The people who should be ripped up and down right now are people like Louis Farrakhan, who's literally going out there and telling his millions of followers that the COVID vaccine is a vial of death. Have you seen any media coverage of this? If a major conservative figure who had met with a bunch of members of Congress were out there literally telling people that the COVID vaccine was a vial of death, that would be at the front of every single newspaper, right? Conservatives deny vaccine efficacy. And yet here was Louis Farrakhan doing just that. Democratic members of Congress have met with this guy. They continue to meet with this guy. Have you seen a headline about this? Here's Louis Farrakhan, who has many, many followers, talking about how the COVID vaccine is a vial of death.
Some of these so-called vaccines, it's the nanoparticles that men like Dr. Fauci have proprietary knowledge of that allows them to get a patent for their vial of death.
I mean, how is that not the headline, right? I mean, seriously, that should be the headline. You want to talk about overcoming COVID? We should be talking about vaccine hesitancy.
So, if you're brainwashed by Ben Shapiro and you think, well, Ben's so good because Louis Farrakhan is such an anti-Semite and Ben's so good and Louis Farrakhan's such a conspiracy theorist and a vaccine denier or whatever, and, Ben's so good because he loves black people and he wants them to get the vaccine more than Louis Farrakhan does. And, oh, wow, Louis Farrakhan said this. And if the right would have done it, then the left would. It's like you can't think left versus right because Zionist is fake opposition Republican. And I'm gonna read some super chats real quick because I appreciate them. I'm gonna read the $10 one first because what I'm saying. I don't sell out to lobbying groups, but for a super chat, for a $10 super chat, sheesh, I'll push a few wars. What I'm saying? War and I. No, I'm just kidding. But he said, "You are so right about Ramaswamy. Lesson learned." let me explain this because I'm not trying to have an aha moment. I've had like 30 people tell me you were right about Vivek. I thought you were wrong. You know, like I was tricked. I thought you were being mean. When I talk, listen to what I say and just hear why I'm saying it. Because nobody has to do what I'm saying, but when I explained why I didn't trust Vivek, I didn't sit here and say, I don't trust Vivek because I'm emotional and I'm angry and I'm jealous and I want what Vivek has. Like, I don't do that. I explain it. I show you. I'm like, Vivek is a pharmaceutical billionaire who said he cried on January 6th, who wrote a book saying Mike Pence did the right thing, came up out of nowhere in the Republican movement, and then all of a sudden people want him to be the vice president. So it's like, I'm not asking people to just believe me or agree with me, although if you do, you'll probably be right most of the time because I'm very cautious with what I say and do. But hear why. I'm not one of these guys that just says, believe me because I'm QAnon or I have secret intel or I have things that you guys don't have. I make my decisions based off stuff you can make your decisions off too. And when I make my decisions, I show you. So I don't understand why so many people didn't believe me about Vivek. Like, I thought you were being mean. I didn't trust you. Why? It was so obvious. He talked exactly like Obama. Nothing he said sounded organic at all. I have no idea why it took people so long to figure that out, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm not trying to be mean at people saying sorry to me, but it's like, just hear what I'm saying. It's annoying for me where like people like hate me for 6 years and then they're like, oh, you were right. You were right. I'm sorry. It's like, just listen to me. Then we could save 7 years of, being mad at each other. Someone said, been trying to get ahead morally for not debating Nick, I guess twice now on Crowder with Pierce is what Mark Dice said. I'm confused by what you said, but thank you for the super chat. I guess, people are feeling very chatty today. Chatty Cathy's out here. Relax. No, I'm just kidding. But what do you think about Elise Stefanik dropping out of the New York governor's race? Independent like Larry Sharp have a better chance? I don't know who has a better chance, but Elise Stefanik is one of the worst Zionist donor puppets like out there. I mean, if you want somebody that's as compromised as Lindsey Graham, or if not worse, it's Elise Stefanik. She's one of my least favorite politicians. Her voting record is abysmal. Her voting record on Israel for her donors is 100%, but her voting record for conservatives is like an F. She's horrific. And Trump loves her because Trump basically is the Israeli lobby now. But anyway, let's move on to a few clips. Let's go with Vivek Ramaswamy since everybody wants to talk about him. Here's Vivek Ramaswamy explaining to people that the mean far right believes that ethnicity and land and heritage matters or something, but to Vivek it doesn't, because apparently now Vivek Ramaswamy, his entire like shtick is he's getting roasted on all his social media platforms by people that are making jokes about him. So now his entire governor campaign, instead of talking to the people of Ohio and trying to win the race, he's trying to defend his own citizenship. He's trying to defend his own like right in America. And he's trying to basically like beat the internet trolls. And it's like, Vivek, you're going to lose on the internet. You're going to lose on Twitter. You're not going to win. You're going to get roasted forever, not because of your ethnicity, not because of who you are, just because you're obnoxious, you're fake, and you're stupid. If you weren't fake and stupid and you weren't a complete loser, you wouldn't be roasted. I get roasted for my hair. If I did something that everyone didn't like, they'd roast my skin, my hair. Like, that's what people do. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying, like, if you actually weren't completely annoying, you wouldn't be getting roasted. So here's him trying to like justify his own, like, oh, I'm going to beat you trolls. It's like, bro, nobody in Ohio gives a shit. Like, talk to those people. But anyway, here's Vivek Ramaswamy.
There's a different vision of American identity that's emergent in certain corridors of the online right. And it says that your identity as an American is based on your lineage. That how long you have been in the country, your lineage and your genetics tied to the blood and soil of the country determines how American you are. It is the idea of a heritage American that says the truest form of an American is somebody who is a descendant of the American Revolution period or before. And I will tell you, this idea of the heritage American, we ought to have this discussion. It's becoming more popular. I think the idea of a heritage American is about as loony as anything the woke left has actually put up. There is no American who is more American than somebody else. The American quality, it's not like the left, they believe in this non-binary stuff. There's no non-binary American. It is binary. Either you're an American or you're not.
That was one of the most retarded things I've ever heard. And if this were Billy Madison, I would be like the guy where after he goes on that long rant, love Billy Madison, shout out Adam Sandler, Happy Hanukkah, one of the most legendary Jewish Americans ever. Hanukkah song is pretty based. But it's like, That was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. You receive no points and may God have mercy on your soul. He's like, and by the way, not that Charlie's like the moral baseline for everything, but Charlie did run Turning Point USA, and Charlie has tweets where he says there is a such thing as a heritage American and like bloodline, like that stuff does matter to most people. But Vivek, because he's like, I guess Indian, his parents came here recently. I don't know. People are saying he's an anchor baby. I haven't really looked into it. All I know is he's like a big pharma billionaire con artist, but I don't trust him at all. He's like, no one's more American than anyone else, and anybody who says so is liberal. It's like, first of all, that's so retarded. Like someone who just gets here, who barely speaks the language, like they're not as American as someone else, but that's okay. Like maybe eventually they can be. Or like if I move to Spain, I'm not like, I'm just as Spanish as you. Like I'm not. Maybe I never will be, but that's okay. Like I don't have to be the baseline of the country. Like you don't have to be like Nina Pinto in Santa Maria. It doesn't mean you're like a bad person, but let me give an example for my family, because I would never act the way Vivek is. My grandfather came from Italy, right? He came over here on a boat, I don't know, 100 years ago or so. He started a trash business. He told me personally, he never complained about it, but he said people were like racist or whatever towards like Italians, and they didn't want him to marry my grandma. Like even back then, they didn't want racists to mix at all. So my Italian grandma and my like my Italian grandpa and my Puerto Rican grandma, even though she's light skinned and she's part European and stuff, it's like her family didn't want her to marry an Italian. But who cares? It's like, whatever. That's just how it was then. And I don't care at all. The point that I'm trying to make is my grandfather, he didn't come to America and say, I'm as American as everyone here. He just worked. He was a trash man. He wasn't a pharmaceutical billionaire selling failed Alzheimer's drugs like Vivek. He was just like, I'm going to work and earn my way in America. And I'm not asking for like complete equality. I'm not like people who've been here for hundreds of years. I'm not exactly like every other race, and I don't want to be. I'm Italian. I'm myself. Like my grandfather didn't get to America. And this is what's so obnoxious about people like Vivek and modern immigrants. They think they deserve everything. It's like when my family came here, even me, myself, I don't think I deserve everything. I don't think, even though I've been here for a while, I don't know that I think I'm as American as somebody's like great-great-grandfather was George Washington. I'm like, no, you're more American than me. That's, like that's pretty base. That's pretty American. Like it's okay to like not, I'm not as like Mexican as someone in Mexico because I'm not Mexican. If I moved to Italy, I wouldn't be as Italian as the Italians there. It's okay. I'm at peace with it. I'm not competing for lineage. But Vivek, he wants so badly to be like the spirit of George Washington, and he's not. It's like, bro, your family hasn't been here that long. You're a pharmaceutical billionaire. You made a bunch of money selling failed Alzheimer's drugs. If you never came to the country, we wouldn't lose anything. You haven't really done anything for the country. You've enriched yourself. I don't believe you're like a net positive at all. Just be happy to be here. You made a fortune. Everybody accepts you in the Republican movement, even though you're a fraud. Like, just be happy to be here and understand where it's like, hey, I wish people would be nicer to me, but let's just say, like, for myself, like, I wish people would be nicer to me, but I understand where people are coming from because people don't want to be ethnically replaced. Like, if I went to Italy and I was like, I don't know, like from Kenya and like people from there were taking over Italy. I'm not saying it's happening, but it's like, if the demographics were shifting, I wouldn't be in Italy. Like we're all the same. Let the demographics shift. It's like, no, have an ounce of self-awareness and self-accountability, Vivek. It's like people in America don't want it to look like India. And that's nothing wrong with India. I love Indians. Indians have been amazing to me. Honestly, I'm not just saying this to pander. I've had only great relationships with Indians in America. I grew up in a very Indian area. All my Indian homies were cool. I have friends that are Indian now. I have no disrespect to India or Indians. But it's like, I don't want like the whole country to look like India, but it doesn't mean I hate Indians or India. It's just like, I don't know. Can Europe be allowed to be white? Can America say that like we were white before, now we're not? Can we have an opinion? If you want it to change, can I not want it to change? Like, why does every European country and Canada and America have to like collapse and we all have to act like it's completely equal? Like like, yeah, we're all equal as far as we deserve the same rights and freedom, but I'm not LeBron James. I don't have the culture that they have in Japan. I'm not asking who's better or worse. It's just like, these people are like Vivek. It's like, I'm just as American as any American. Like, you're really not though. And I'm not too, to some extent. There's Americans more American than me, and that's okay. My grandfather understood that. My grandma understood. They didn't get here and just demand equality. We're just as American as people who've been here. No, you're not. Neither was my family. Shut up, Vivek. You're such a phony. And it's ridiculous. And the thing is too, like with he always talks about like the founding fathers thought this, the founding fathers thought this. The founding fathers did not create the Hart-Celler Act. The Hart-Celler Act was when immigration started coming from all over the world. The founding fathers didn't want the entire world coming here. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. You could say they were bad. But before the Hart-Celler Act, they were bringing people from Europe mostly and European descent. That's what they wanted. I'm not acting like you could have an opinion that that's wrong or right, but it's one of those things that you're starting to learn where it's like, why can Africa stay African, Asia stay Asia, South America stay Spanish, but America has to lose its demographics, Canada has to lose its demographics, Europe has to lose its demographics, and we all have to act like it's going to be so much better. I don't know that I believe that. I think there's beauty in every single culture, but it's like I wouldn't want Japan to be Mexican or Mexico. I want Mexico to be Mexico and Japan to be Japan. America was not filled with Viveks. That's just the reality of the situation. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but it's like he's denying reality and trying to rewrite history just to insert himself in the story of the founding fathers. I wasn't in the story of the founding fathers. My grandfather didn't think he was as American as George Washington. He worked as a trash man, earned his way, and just, over time, your family becomes more and more American. Like, my mom doesn't even know Spanish, and my grandma didn't even know Spanish because they just didn't learn it. Like, they were like, we don't even want to speak Spanish. We want to speak English. Like, they didn't, I wish I knew Spanish because it would be helpful now, but like none of my family even knows Spanish because they're like, we assimilated. Vivek, no offense, but like he's naming his kids like Indian names. These are not like American names. It's like, oh, that is American. It's really not though. Like if I name my kid like El Nino Supremo, it doesn't matter. You can name your kid whatever you want, but I'm not going to be like my kid El Nino Supremo. That's an American name. And this is what the founding fathers wanted. It's not like, it's literally just not true. So Vivek, he's so triggered by the comments under his like social media that his entire existence now is trying to like fight them and like beat the trolls in his comment section. And it's just like turning him into like an unhinged libtard. Charlie didn't think that. I don't think that. Most of the right doesn't think that. Why not just sell pharmaceuticals and cry on January 6th? Like, why do you have to pretend to be a Republican or role play Republican or become a Republican and then try to be a libtard on our side? I'm sorry, Vivek, but people don't like you because you're annoying and fake. And then they use any leverage they can to like make fun of you. It's not like we have this massive problem and everyone's exactly as American as someone who's been here for 300 years. America, this is total propaganda. Everyone's like, oh, well, Spain is this way and Italy's this way, but America is this thing. It wasn't. It's definitely an experiment. It's definitely harder because of like everything going on. But the original vision wasn't to just flood the country with everybody all over the world and act like it's exactly the same as it was. That was never the vision. So if you're going to disagree with the founding fathers and you're going to disagree with, people from 1776 until the Hart-Celler Act, you can do that. But you can't like rewrite history and act like that's what it was always meant to be. Like it absolutely wasn't. So, I mean, he's an idiot, but it's whatever. Let's listen to a clip of Steve Bannon. I got a bunch of clips. I'm going to go around. Here's Steve Bannon. I don't know what he says because I haven't, to be honest, I haven't heard the full clip, but here's one.
Shapiro is like a cancer, and that cancer spreads. It's a cancer, and it metastasizes. He tried to take over Breitbart, and I ran him out of there. He tried to take over David Horowitz's, who was his mentor. Don't ask me. Ask the guys associated with David Horowitz what he did there. He tried to take that over. And mark my word, he will make a move on Turning Point because he's always been envious of Charlie Kirk.
Sorry, I put the super chat there. For those who want a super chat, I mean, I appreciate it, but save it till the end if you can, because I'm not going to be able to see the chat the entire time. So I'm just going to put that there. But so I guess Steve Bannon really doesn't like Ben Shapiro. That was pretty brutal. I don't know. Like he knows a lot more than I do. Like, I guess Ben used to work for Breitbart and Bannon used to work for Breitbart. So they have like a shared history and they know a lot of the same people. But, Bannon's been super, super based recently. And it's pretty interesting because I know like he's like kind of tied into the Epstein stuff. I'm not saying Bannon did anything because I don't think he did, but he was like interviewing Epstein and like I don't know what's going on. Even like Matt Gaetz got caught in some weird like it seemed like honeypot. I'm not exactly sure. And then like Matt gets on the other side of it. And now Matt Gaetz is like super based and like talking about the Israel influence and stuff. I don't know what's going on, but Bannon has been super, super based over the last year. Saying like he calls like Mark Levin, like Tel Aviv Mark Levin, which is total anti-Semitism. And I totally condemn it. You're a bad person, Steve Bannon. Don't do that. Mark Levin is just as American as Vivek, which is just as American as Ilhan Omar, which is just as American as everyone. We're all the same. George Washington was an Arab, Indian, and he celebrated Judaism. No, I'm just kidding. Luckily, I can question my history without going to jail because I'm not part of a special group where if you question your history that you pretty much go to prison in a lot of countries. So luckily I can make jokes about the founding fathers, but I'm sorry, George Washington. I didn't mean it. Please don't haunt me in my dreams. Pretty brutal from Steve Bannon, man. He's going hard. Let's hear what else Steve has to say because he's clearly not holding back. And, I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it a little bit. I'm definitely having fun here.
Now, Benji Shapiro sat up here last night, and he was all, it's all about the truth. Ben, I've known you a long time, brother. You can't handle the truth.
All right, I'm going to play that clip again, but I had to stop it, dude. That was like movie scene. He's like, little Benji was up here saying he wants the truth. Ben, you can't handle the truth. Based. Very cool, Steve. That was pretty cool. All right, let's listen to the whole clip.
Now, Benji Shapiro sat up here last night, and he was all, it's all about the truth. Ben, I've known you a long time, brother. You can't handle the truth. Let's face it, Ben Shapiro is the farthest thing from MAGA. Let's be blunt. He is a hardcore never-Trumper. He's a hardcore never-Trumper. In the spring of 16, he tried to upend Breitbart. He walked off the job, made a big deal about some incident in Mar-a-Lago with Corey Lewandowski. He tried to turn it to Ted Cruz from Donald Trump because he hated Donald Trump. In the general election, he barely supported Donald Trump. The first sign of when President Trump gets sent back to Mar-a-Lago, the very first individual that jumped on the Ron DeSantis train, the Israel First train, was Ben Shapiro. And those are the darkest days we had. In 21 and 22, you guys were there. He's consistently been against Trump, and now that President Trump doesn't back the Greater Israel Project. What is Greater Israel? It's not about Israel itself. It's about an expansionist Israel, an imperial Israel that Netanyahu and that crowd have thought up. And the Israel First crowd is Ben Shapiro, Tel Aviv Mark Levin, and many others that want to put that ahead of America's interests.
I mean, I hear a lot of what he's saying, but he's kind of pretending like Trump's not Israel first. Like he's like everything he's saying about Ben, I get it, but he's like, Trump doesn't back Greater Israel. It's like, are you sure? Are you sure he doesn't? Either Trump is completely in the bag because he just works for them, or what I'm starting to think, and I'm not making excuses for Trump. I'm the last person to make excuses for Trump, but listening to him talk where he's like, when he talked about Sheldon Adelson, he was like, he really cared about Israel. That's all he really cared about. Like Miriam Adelson, I think she's more loyal to Israel. He talks about the Jewish lobby being the most powerful lobby in America. There's a possibility that Trump's just throwing it in your face and like bragging about it and being like, yeah, this is what it is and I work for them. But there really is a chance that like Trump is just so compromised that he like can't do anything. And he's just like crying for help. It's almost like, oh, hold on a second. I froze. Hold on a sec. I got it. Don't worry. Apologize. But like, there's a chance that he's so like, I definitely think he's like backed into a corner or something. And it's like all he could do. It's like if you're on camera and you're on the news and you're like trying to give like hand signals or something because like, somebody's right behind you. Maybe that's happening to Trump. And maybe Bannon knows that. But I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for Trump. I'm just guessing that he's so compromised, not just by donor money, but I think clearly they have like something else over Trump where he like can't do anything, which makes him like not a good president at this point. It's like, well, can we get someone that's not completely compromised? Steve, but I respect Steve Bannon's angle of it because Steve Bannon like worked for Trump. He knows Trump. And I think the Steve Bannons and the Tucker Carlsons, they know how petty and crazy Trump can be. So they kind of just frame it as like, oh, it's everybody but Trump. He's not working for, it's like, we know it's Trump too, for some reason. So I just think that, like, I don't know Donald Trump, so I can't get in that much trouble. I mean, I guess I could. He could like True Social my name and ruin my life or something. But, it would just be like 48 hours of boomers getting mad at me and then I'd get over it. But anyway, like Steve Bannon and Tucker, if they say something, Trump will hear it. So they have to like play dumb, and be like, it's everyone around Trump. I get it. I get the game they're playing, and it makes sense because like they're way closer to, getting in trouble from Daddy Vaccine, aka Papa APAC, aka Grandpa Moderna, aka Israel's favorite boy. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm running out of nicknames for Trump, but Grandpa APAC is a good one. Grandpa Moderna. You got Zion Don, some people call him. That's a good one. But also a hero for America. Here's a video of James O'Keefe, and James O'Keefe says that we're being failed by the FBI, and he called Kash Patel live on the stage. I want to say this before I play it too. A lot of people will view what's going on and be like, this is so bad for our movement. This is so bad. I get it. We should definitely be united. But here's what I have to say. And I don't want to get in this whole spiel, but for 6 years, I've seen all this stuff and everybody was lying about it and gatekeeping and blacklisting everybody. And now it's all out in the open. So I don't think this is a bad thing at all. I just think people are tired of being fake. And the people that are actually America first that they tried to blacklist and keep out of the movement are now in the movement. And it's like catching like, a wave where it's like, now it's Tucker Carlson, now it's Steve Bannon. So it's like, it's too big for them to blacklist anymore. And I don't think this is a bad thing. Like it's Israel first versus America first, in my opinion. And like Trump and Ben Shapiro types and Mark Levin, like it's just, to me, it's fake opposition. It's not going anywhere. It's about as useful as Donald Trump locking the country down, selling vaccines and printing money and saying he's a Republican. Like at that point, it doesn't even matter. So I don't view any of this stuff as like, oh, this is so bad, we're all fighting. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because a lot of these people, not even a big fan of anyway. So it's like watching like a bunch of like, it's like watching like hot chicks mud wrestle or like, like two influencers like box and like knock each other out. It's like, who cares? It's not that, oh, it's so bad, we're fighting, whatever.
Raided by the FBI, arrested by the FBI, spending $5 million a year defending yourself, making lawyers rich. The American Bar Association is corrupt. It's a joke. You start to realize because of stuff like this is a national disgrace. The Republicans have the White House, the Congress, the Senate, the Attorney General's office. You know what they say? Call Kash, call Kash, call Kash, call Pam, call Kash. You know Kash? Okay, I got Kash's cell phone number right here, and I'm going to call him and ask him why this thing is not redacted. Call Kash, call Pam Bondi, call Kash. It's a disgrace. We should be better than this. I'm going to leave him a voicemail. He seems like a nice guy. I've met him, read his book. I support him. Maybe it's the people who work for him that do this. But if you're the leader, you cannot stand for this in the United States of America. We need politicians with balls.
Forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hi, Kash Patel. This is James O'Keefe. I'm standing in front of 10,000 students at the AmFest. I've come to understand from sources in D.C. that there were confidential FBI informants at Project Veritas, the company I founded, and they were trying to sabotage my operation. I've also understand that the reason why this is not redacted is because the FBI, quote, wants to protect its sources and methods. It creates a constitutional crisis when you send FBI sources and informants to disrupt the newsroom. My right to see the sources supersedes whatever marginal privacy concern the FBI has for its sources and methods. I demand that you unredact this affidavit immediately for the public's right to know. Thank you.
And guys, if you notice the hair, that's actually not James O'Keefe. That's his twin brother, Kames O'Keefe. It's Kames O'Keefe. So no, I'm just kidding. I don't know. He was wearing his like little disguise. I like James, by the way. I think he's legit, but yeah, I don't know. That would have been crazy if he like held up his phone. He's like, I'm calling Kash Patel right now. Like, imagine if he like showed the number by mistake. That would be crazy. Like he like, I mean, I don't think that's funny, but it is like just funny to like think about that he just did that as well. But yeah, I mean, I think clearly Republicans are, I'll say this at bare minimum, that at bare minimum, Trump works for people compromised by Epstein. I mean, obviously he's probably compromised by Epstein, but if you can't figure out who Trump works for at this point, like it couldn't, I think he just told everybody on stage, but it's like, if you can't figure out who Trump works for, he works for people that don't want this stuff to come out. So I like, everyone's like, oh, it's not coming out because the left and the right. The left and the right, this affects a lot of things. And you never know who's who in the sense of like who is and isn't compromised in government. Like some people, I mean, it definitely feels like most of them are at bare minimum by donor money at minimum. But it's like, oh, it's a big mystery why Pam Bondi won't release the Epstein files. I'm pretty sure Matt Gaetz was replaced with her for a situation like this. Like Matt Gaetz, they couldn't allow him to be there. He probably would have wanted to release him. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, that was an interesting moment. It seems like a lot of people in the chat are not big fans of James. I mean, he does this thing. He's definitely an obscure journalist, the way he does his reporting with the hidden cameras and stuff, but to each their own. All right, let's see. Here's Megyn Kelly, I guess, like complaining about Ben Shapiro. I guess Ben said something mean to her or something. And I guess Megyn doesn't completely work for the Israel lobby. So Zionists hate Megyn Kelly, even though she's a total normie. Megyn's like, I'll do basic normie stuff, but like, I'm not just going to like, suck up to Israel every 2 seconds. And they're like, anti-Semite, Hamas, anti-Semite. Dude, they're dragging this lady through the mud. It's crazy because like, I'm not saying everybody, but the Zionists in the media, the Zionists in politics, the Zionist donors, etc. It's like nothing's enough for these people. It's literally psychotic. Like Charlie Kirk was like 95% compromised, and it's like 5% of them was like, hey, let me put Tucker on stage. And they were freaking out at him. Like they were bugging out at him. And he's like, I'm being called an anti-Semite. It's like, if Charlie Kirk's not enough for the pro-Israel side, Megyn Kelly's not enough. Like, what does Megyn Kelly do? She's totally like milquetoast on most topics, but I guess she just doesn't cave to Israel. So Zionists are just constantly harassing her. It's literally nuts. And then they don't realize acting this way makes people not like it. And when people don't like it, then they lose favor, and then they lose favor, and then they cry anti-Semitism. It's like, at what point do you treat people better? And it's not everybody. Like, I'm not responsible for what the Pope does or what like Billy Graham does. I'm not saying everybody in a religion or race is responsible for it, but when it comes to Zionists in the media, like most of them act exactly the same, and they just harass people all the time and try to morally blackmail everybody into agreeing with them. It's like, hey, I support you, but I don't really support the war because I think like too many kids and women are dying. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's blood libel. That reminds me of like the times of Jesus. I hate you, anti-Semitism. You're like, all right, that's a crazy way to get people to like you, but good luck. So here's Megyn Kelly, crying about Ben Shapiro, I guess.
You mentioned him, and your name came up on this stage last night in regards to pretty much all of this. Would you like the opportunity to respond?
Well, I found it kind of funny that Ben thinks he has the power to decide who gets excommunicated from the conservative movement, which shows a willful blindness about his position in it. It reminded me a little of when the girl who was the head of our middle school chorus told me she was going to take all my friends away from me. Chorus? A head cheerleader maybe, but like, so I resent the whole thing. I object to the whole thing. Ben and I, he had the nerve to call me a friend right before he called me a despicable coward for not calling out the people he once called out. So he both wants to parent me and be my child. He wants to tell me what I have to do and who I have to say what to. And then when I don't, he and some of his friends want to act like utter victims because I won't do what they say. They need me. I have to be their daddy and step in to protect them. And I am not their daddy. And I resent that he thinks he's in a position to decide who must say what to whom and when. Thank you. So
it's one of these things too, where it's like, I don't do the condemning game, but like, let's just say I were to do the condemning game, right? And I'm going to condemn like everything I disagree with, I just condemn. I condemn bad conspiracy theories and dumb conspiracy theories and people that are reaching too much when they're reaching. Like, yeah, sure. I don't like that. I condemn it. But I also condemn Ben Shapiro trying to oversell vaccines to black people and cry about Louis Farrakhan when he didn't.
And we have seen a tremendous amount of vaccine hesitancy, unfortunately, in the black and Hispanic community.
If they come up with a vaccine, be careful.
Yes, sir.
Don't let them vaccinate you with their history of treachery through vaccines.
Okay, black America, only 67% of black Americans say they definitely will get the vaccine or probably get the vaccine. So the black community has tremendous vaccine hesitancy. Okay, that is a real problem.
So it's like, should I also condemn Ben Shapiro? Because Ben's conspiracy theories, believing Pfizer and the government, are way worse than anything that Megyn Kelly or Candace Owens have done recently, in my opinion. Like, Candace Owens got most of the pandemic right. Ben Shapiro got a lot of it wrong. So it's like, if I'm going to condemn a theory that I don't agree with, or I think, the reporting is a little sloppy, it's like, is that worse than mainstream media people who started wars that have killed millions of people? Is that worse than Ben Shapiro, who made massive journalistic errors because he believed conspiracy theories that the government and Pfizer told him? Like, it's not like only people that aren't like rich or in the government can make theories, but then they don't make theories because they're the government. Like, the government and Pfizer was a conspiracy, and my theory was right and Ben's theory was wrong. Here's Ben apologizing because his conspiracy theory, believing Pfizer and the government, was wrong.
But we now know that we were lied to by everyone. We were lied to by the scientists. We were lied to by Pfizer. We were lied to by the government. We were lied to by the Biden administration. We were lied to. I don't like being lied to. I don't know about you. And it makes me not believe these people. I think that the vast majority.
If you like that jean jacket Ben had on, by the way, it's a baby's jacket, size small, so you could find it at your nearest like Kohl's. Just go in the smallest section you could find, a little baby jean jacket. It's like usually model, like they put it at the model thing because like usually it's even too small for babies, but it fits Ben like very snug. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like, that's the thing with the condemnation game. It's like, we want the Zionists want Megyn Kelly to condemn Candace Owens and condemn Tucker Carlson and condemn this person and condemn Daryl Cooper. Meanwhile, a lot of these people are making way more egregious journalistic errors. There's a reason I do my show. There's a reason I say what I say, and there's a reason I don't say what I don't say. It's because I don't agree with everybody. Like, I don't, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but it's like, if I agreed with everything that Nick Fuentes said, I would just quit and be him. I'm not Tucker Carlson. I'm not Candace Owens. Like, if, they all do things that I'm like, I'm not sure what they're doing, but I'm not going to condemn something that I disagree with them doing if you're doing things that I consider 50 times worse. Like, the wars that you're trying to get us into are worse than anything these people are saying. The journalistic errors you made during COVID are worse than anything they've ever done. So I'll condemn you before I condemn them, but I'm not playing a game of condemnation. I do just journalism and reporting. It's like, I'll tell you what I like and I don't like. I'm not condemning Vivek Ramaswamy. I just think he's a fake retard. I'm not condemning Ben Shapiro. I'm explaining why I disagree with it. And this is the game that they play, kind of like libtards. The same way liberals say, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a xenophobe, you're a climate denier, you're an anti-vaxxer. Basically what they're saying is, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're bad, you're evil, I'm right, but I don't have to explain why I'm right because I can't really explain why I'm right because you're actually right. You're just saying something. Like when Piers Morgan says you're a misogynist to like Nick Fuentes, like you're a misogynist, and Piers Morgan says he's a Catholic. The Bible is misogynistic because the Bible is not some feminist beta male, book where it's like, hey, Piers, like, vacuum for your wife, get on your knees and make her cupcakes. Like, the Bible talks about God, man, woman, and the difference between man and woman, and how the man should lead and the man should lead through God. It doesn't say like Piers Morgan, like bend over and be a total pussy. So it's like, you could say the Bible's misogynistic. You could say the Bible's anti-Semitic when it talks about the synagogue of Satan. These words basically are just created to shut people up. And it's the same thing with condemnation. Condemning someone is the same way as calling them a racist or an anti-Semite. It just means like, I want you to stop talking. I don't feel like explaining myself. And, I don't hold myself to the same standards that I hold these people to because I don't like them because they're criticizing Israel. Like, nobody's falling for this stuff anymore. It's like, it's so sloppily done. I've said this before, but when like after the war broke out between Israel and Palestine and Israel retaliated after October 7th, and I was listening to like the pro-Israel side, I was just blown away by like how dumb the talking points were. I was thinking to myself, I'm not like, I don't agree with what their military's doing, but if I did, I could figure out smarter ways to sell it. Like just as somebody that's interested in marketing, and I do like business, just as like everybody needs to do business to some. I was just like, are they trying? That's the weird part that I don't understand. Like, are they trying to make people not like them? Are they trying to sound ridiculous? Like blaming, well, they voted for Hamas in 2007, so like an 18-year-old kid is responsible for an election that happened like before he was born. It doesn't even make any sense. Like, you have to be literally brainwashed by Fox News or Newsmax or Ben Shapiro to even think that makes any sort of sense at all. And then they're like brainwashing like Christians into being demons, thinking like it's okay to blow up kids, and you're like, what how is this the best talking point you could think of? And I think at the end of the day, it's just like, if you're lying, eventually you just run out of room. Like, sometimes I guess it's easy for some people to make up like good propaganda that people fall for, but over time it's just hard to lie forever. And that's what happened to the Democrats too. Like, the Democrats were lying about all their race and sexual propaganda, and then at a certain point after 20 years, like, people snap out of it and then they vote for Republicans. That Trump won because Democrats got so crazy. And now we're blowing this mandate that Trump has. He could win for the next 20 years if he actually just worked for America, but instead he's working for his Israeli donors. And our party's being basically like hijacked, even though it's always been that way. Like, Trump was supposed to be this outsider, and nobody voted for him to start a war with Venezuela or blow up a drug boat. Nobody voted for him to sell a gold card. Like, he's just a cornball. Trump is so corny now. It's so funny. But anyway, I got some more clips to play. Let me play this clip of Ben Shapiro answering a question about the USS Liberty, where the USS Liberty was an American ship that got attacked and blown up by Israel, and somehow the people survived. And apparently most of, or all of the survivors say that Israel did it purposely, but the Zionists who lie about everything will convince you that they didn't do it purposely. And it's just anti-Semitism to say that Israel does anything personally. It's blood libel, because, the chosen people have never made a mistake. They never do anything wrong. All they do is tell the truth, and they would never, ever, ever hurt anybody ever purposely. That's what they'll convince you. So either you believe the survivors or you believe Ben Shapiro. But I think his name is Phil Torney or Philip de Torney or something. Like, listen to that guy. He's a survivor of the USS Liberty, an American ship, and veterans that, or now they're veterans that got attacked by Israel.
The person who said that Charlie Kirk was a, quote, retarded idiot. The person who said, and
oh, sorry, that was not it. Hold on. I'm trying to find it.
You cited during your speech truth as the most important tenet of American conservatism. Why, therefore, did you call irrelevant the Israeli attack in 1967 on the USS Liberty, which left dozens of American servicemen dead and hundreds wounded?
So what I actually said is that if we're looking at modern Israeli-American relations, looking at an attack that happened mistakenly by multiple Navy reports, multiple Israeli reports, and all available evidence, and using that attack in order to undermine today's relations between Israel and America, that's irrelevant. As irrelevant as it would be to cite a piece of evidence from World War II or from 1776 to define America's relations with, for example, Great Britain or Germany today.
All right, I'm just going to cut off what he said because I'm not even going to listen to the rest of it, okay? And I haven't heard it yet. But so he's saying it's irrelevant to talk about the USS Liberty, because talking about something then and from World War II to undermine something going on now is just ridiculous because it's so far in the past. I'm not going to say the event because I'm not trying to get my bank closed down and my life ruined, but can you think of a historical event that people like Ben Shapiro constantly use every day, every week, every month, every year? It's in the name of the speech laws that they're passing worldwide. It's constantly evoked to get money, to fundraise, to get reparations, to, harass people, to ruin their lives, to gain leverage over people. It's used probably more than any historical event ever. It's like literally like become almost like a God figure in our society because it's like so important. You're better off like blaspheming Jesus than talking about this event. Can you think of a historical event that completely disagrees with everything that Ben just said? So like, that's how stupid these people are. Dude, I'm all for saying that Israel did USS Liberty by mistake, right? That's like, okay, there's got to be a better talking point than like, oh, you're bringing up a historical fact to undermine our relationship now? Who would bring up history in order to talk about today? Who could possibly do that, man? I can't fathom somebody or a group that would do that. That's crazy, dude. Using historic, like, do these people even hear themselves? At this point, if you think Ben Shapiro is more authentic than Tucker Carlson, you're either retarded, really dumb, brainwashed, or like in on it. You know, there's no possible way you could listen to these. Like, I didn't even hear that full clip until now, and I'm like, is that the first talking point that Ben Shapiro is really going to say, that you sound ridiculous bringing up history in order to make a point today? You sound ridiculous bringing up history to undermine our relationships today, or you know, talk about geopolitics. Is this real life? Like, do these people not hear themselves? But if you ever said that to them, dude, you'd immediately have to apologize. The entire world would turn against you. The Matrix would fold on you, and you'd have to probably donate to one of their organizations, or else they would, you know, morally blackmail you for the rest of your life. Like, hey, dude, what? Most people are seeing through this. It's like, that's a crazy talking point, bro. So 1 out of 10 response from Ben Shapiro. I'm actually shocked because I didn't hear that full. I'm shocked that that's his defense. Unreal. Let's play a clip of Tucker Carlson, and let's see what he says here.
Is the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee, commonly known as AIPAC, is them being in America and not registered with FARA like all other lobbying groups in America, is that America first? Is it America first for senators, Congress, and even our president to take money from AIPAC?
Is it America first to take money from a foreign lobby so you'll send taxpayer dollars to that country? You know, even the question kind of answers itself. Obviously it isn't. And that's not an attack on Israel. It's certainly not anti-Semitism, despite the efforts of many to claim that it is. It's just an obvious statement. And the fact that people are attacked for asking the question, this is something that I talked to Charlie a lot about in his final months, because he was being attacked as an anti-Semite for asking that question.
I mean, facts, you know, and people try to say that wasn't happening. Here, I'm going to load a clip real quick because I have it. Let me try to find it real quick. I made it for Instagram yesterday for obvious reasons. Let's see if this is it. But I made a little compilation because there's a lot of, I guess I'm not going to play it. Maybe I'll try to load it after this. But yeah, let's listen to the second clip of Tucker.
Is the American-Israel Public Affairs...
Sorry, I already listened to that one. I guess it's this one.
And we've memory hold that, but I was there, so I saw it. That's not the right way. Don't attack people's motives. And I have a lot to attack people's motives. I'm trying to remind myself, don't do that. Respond to what they're saying. Right? And so, no, of course it's not. And it's totally fine to ask about why a foreign government tried to sink one of our ships in 1967. That doesn't make you an anti-Semite, sorry. Those are Americans who died. And by the way, yeah, whatever. Anyway, but the point is, no, of course not. And that's why they won't have the conversation. And my point is, you know, I'm 56. My kids are grown. I'm just not afraid of you at all. I don't hate you or anyone else. I love this country. I'm going to be here till I die. I have an absolute God-given right to ask these questions. And I'm going to keep doing that. Period. And you can shoot me or put me in jail, but the questions won't go away. So, no, of course it's not. And that's why they respond with, like, rage and shame, because you caught them doing something they can't defend. Duh.
Yeah, so, I mean, Tucker has an interesting perspective because he actually knew Charlie Kirk. Charlie liked him. Charlie wanted him to speak on stage. Charlie was losing donors because, you know, Tucker was speaking at Turning Point events, and Charlie didn't want to blacklist him like a lot of people on the pro-Israel side did. So Charlie was like an interesting character for many reasons, but he was very pro-Israel. He was very kind to the Zionists. He did like almost everything they always wanted him ever to do. And then he just took a stand at one point, and now he's dead. And I'm not saying that has anything to do with it, but everyone's lying to themselves if they think the timing of it wasn't weird. I watched Charlie for 5-6 years be like a Zionist gatekeeper. And then all of a sudden, when he wanted to allow people like Tucker to question it, and he was kind of on the side of Megyn Kelly and Tucker over the Zionists on this particular topic, and he asked questions about October 7th, like I watched the shift happen. And I was thinking, because to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of Charlie Kirk, and I'm not going to pretend like I was. But towards the end of his life, like the last year, I was like, dude, Charlie's coming around. Charlie's definitely like opening the door. He's becoming like a real big tent. And I really felt like he was going to get like fully where I thought was more authentic, and he was getting there. And I made this clip real quick because so many people are trying to say that Charlie wouldn't want Tucker to speak on a stage. Charlie, like there's all this nonsense and propaganda going out there. And once again, I'm not Charlie Kirk. Charlie didn't have all my views. He didn't believe everything I thought. And I'm one of the few people pretending or not pretending on that and being honest about it, where everyone's like, he was just like me. He was anti-Israel. He's pro-Israel. He did this. He did that. He wasn't like you, and he wasn't like me. But I made this clip recently, and I've done similar stuff to this, but I really put it out there because I want people to see that anybody saying that Charlie didn't want Tucker Carlson to speak at his events and that Tucker should be blacklisted from TPUSA, which they're trying to do, they're literally lying about what Charlie said. Here's that clip real quick, and then we'll react to a few more. Fact: Charlie Kirk wanted Tucker Carlson to speak at his events.
This is what they don't understand. You and I, Megan, and Tucker is in the same category, and they've tried to go after Tucker.
Yeah.
Is that the more you attack our moral character, the more we're going to double down in a direction, because 100%. Screw you, I don't do it that way, okay?
Fact: Charlie felt like he was being, quote, morally blackmailed by the pro-Israel side for not doing every single thing that they wanted.
How's your relationship with Candace Owens nowadays?
She's a great friend. You know, look, I don't agree with everything Candace says, but you know what I don't do? I don't stop being friends with people just because people morally blackmail me.
With Tucker, for example, yeah, I mean, we took some pushback, we lost some donors, and he basically said, I don't appreciate being morally blackmailed. And, you know, and every time people would say that to him, he would dig his heels in. It's like, well, maybe Tucker's going to give 2 speeches now at MFest.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll invite so-and-so.
Fact: even though Charlie was one of the most pro-Israel Republicans that I knew and did the most for them, he was still being smeared as an anti-Semite because they used that word to try to morally blackmail anybody that won't fall in line. Don't believe me? Watch the proof.
And I will say this, the behavior by a lot, both privately and publicly, are pushing people like you and me away. Not like we're going to be pro-Hamas, not like we're going to, but we're like, honestly, the way you are treating me is so repulsive. I have text messages, Megan, calling me an anti-Semite. There's another article out in the Times of Israel today. I could read it on air. I was just reading before I got on. Charlie, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing? I'm sorry. Like, let's just take a step back here. Like, I'm an American citizen.
I made this video because I'm watching so many people lying online right now saying, oh, get Tucker off the Turning Point stage. This is disgraceful to Charlie's legacy that Tucker's there. Meanwhile, Charlie said the exact opposite. And I'm not here for conspiracy theories I can't prove, or what he said, she said, and all of that drama. To each their own, but I'm sticking to the facts that I can prove. And if Charlie Kirk felt like he was being morally blackmailed, even though he was extremely pro-Israel, because he wouldn't do like a few little things that they wanted and kick Tucker Carlson off his stage, what do you think they're doing to everybody else? And since I'm not allowed to say it, they would say it's anti-Semitism if I did. Here's Donald Trump explaining the most powerful lobby in America.
My father would tell me the most powerful lobby that there is in this country is the Jewish lobby. It's the Israeli lobby.
I guess it's okay that he says it because he works for them, but if anybody doesn't work for them or completely do whatever they want all the time, then they morally will blackmail you too, call you an anti-Semite, and use that word for leverage to make you do what they want.
Is it America first to take money from a foreign lobby so you'll send taxpayer dollars to that country?
So there's just proof that Charlie was standing by Tucker. He was being smeared as an anti-Semite, and Charlie himself, when he was alive, considered it moral blackmail. They were trying to morally blackmail him, question his character, even though, and what bothered Charlie the most about this is Charlie was pro-Israel. Charlie felt like he had earned the right to say what he thought because he was such a defender of Israel, but it was never enough for these people. So that's what I want to say to the pro-Israel side and the Zionists that really actually still care and aren't just like hallucinating. Charlie was pro-Israel. Most Zionists now that Charlie's dead are like, oh yeah, Charlie's awesome. He definitely wasn't an anti-Semite. He was pro-Israel. Then why was Charlie stressed out? You could even see in his last like few months of his interviews, he was super stressed out. Watch his interview with Megyn Kelly where he complained about being called an anti-Semite. It's like if Zionists won't settle for a Charlie Kirk, like he's not enough for them, how do you think they treat everybody else? They treat everybody like shit all the time. I've been in politics, I mean, loosely, not like I'm literally involved, but I've been in the media reporting for like 10 years now. The doors are open for me in Republican politics for 4 years, 3 years. People were like, come here, come here, come here. As soon as I realized that DeSantis and Trump were controlled by, dual loyalty donors, essentially passing speech laws in America, as soon as I started talking about that, they just blacklisted me and called me an anti-Semite. Not because I'm a hateful person, but because the word anti-Semitism is to destroy you the same way like racism or sexism is on the left if you tell the truth. So it's like, it's basically just a word to morally blackmail everybody. And that's the truth. I'm not going to say everyone's being literally blackmailed because that's not true, but like Charlie used to call it morally blackmailed. Everybody in the GOP is being morally blackmailed, and everybody knows it. All my friends knew it in 2019 and 2020 when they left me hanging and they were like, oh yeah, you're right, Anomaly, but I'm a coward. You're right, Anomaly, but I'm going to go get this money here. You're right, Anomaly, but I don't want to say it. You're right, Anomaly, but they know they won't say it because they don't want to like tell their audience they're like, hey, I'm a coward, but they know that deep down in their head, they're like, I am being morally blackmailed. I can't say this or else I'm going to lose my job. And I don't want to lose my job. So then they just become a part of the establishment, a part of the swamp, a part of the system. And it's like, that's the route they choose. It's like, I'm going to be controlled opposition, they say, and they're like, I'll do this. But I'm fighting the left. So it's totally cool. And it's like, everyone deep down knows that's doing that you are fake opposition. You're not really helping the movement. And you're only allowed to be there because you're keeping the biggest secret that the lobbyists, the donors, the special interests, and the people that don't want America to be served first, that they use you as like a pawn. So just like, I just want to explain before I listen to one or two more clips, and then I'm going to end the stream. Charlie was pro-Israel. Charlie Kirk was a Zionist. Charlie Kirk did more than any Gentile I know for Israel. Yet in his final months, he was stressed out because he was losing donors over platforming Tucker Carlson. He was being called an anti-Semite. This is what the Zionists are in the Republican. They want to blacklist. They want to censor. They did it behind the scenes. People don't realize this because they're like, oh, they're just starting to do this now. They did it from 2019, probably way before that. But they were doing it successfully behind the scenes because there weren't people speaking out. Like, I couldn't get a job at Daily Wire or PragerU or any of these people because I spoke out about this topic. They would hire people who wouldn't talk about it. So it's like they're showing you like, we're not censoring anybody, but they were behind the scenes. Now they can't do it because Candace Owens came out and started talking about it. Steve Bannon talks about it. Thomas Massey, like there's two and a lot more influencers now. People like Nick, people like Sneeko, Dan Bilzerian, Andrew Tate. And I'm not saying that you have to agree with everything these people say, but basically the dam has been broken where they couldn't blacklist and rig everything. And then everybody started finding out about this stuff because it got too big. So now instead of pretending like they don't want to blacklist, now they publicly are like, take Tucker off the stage, but I'm not blacklisting. I just don't want him to speak there, but it's not cancel culture, but it's just what Charlie wants. It's like, they're bugging out because the whole operation was supposed to be behind the scenes. So then you're watching these networks thinking, oh, they're fighting for freedom. I figured it out in 2019. I was like, why is Prager doing this No Safe Spaces documentary? Meanwhile, Donald Trump and DeSantis are passing these weird anti-Semitism bills that are basically demanding that college campuses become safe spaces for people not to criticize Israel. Like, I was like, this is a total hypocrisy. And then they just threw me to the curb. That's what they did to everybody. So this stuff isn't new. It's just the dam is broken now and we're witnessing it on stage. And I'd be lying if I didn't say it's interesting. Like, oh, everybody's fighting. There's been a fight, like, metaphorical fight privately, and they were hoping that you never saw it because they know if you see it, you'll see both sides, and most people will go towards the side of truth. That's the thing about liars. They can't debate and art. They just have to cry anti-Semitism, cry racism, cry sexism, try to blacklist. That's all they could do. You know, Ben Shapiro like freaks out about Daryl Cooper. Daryl Cooper, I don't even agree with everything he says. I don't think like everything he says is right. I've listened to him and I'm like, I don't know about that. But Daryl Cooper's like not whatever Ben calls him. It's just that's like a label Ben created in his head. He's like, how can I string words together to make Daryl Cooper look bad? Because he's questioning history, and Ben doesn't want you to question history. He wants you to believe everything that you learn and that you're told. Because then, you know, it's like having someone like Daryl Cooper, who's not an apologist. He's more just like an analyst who's trying to say like, you know, I guess in 50 years we'll learn Ukraine good, Russia bad, Putin bad, Zelensky good. And if someone like Daryl Cooper comes along and is like, well, you know, Zelensky really wasn't like that good, and then, oh, you're a denier of Ukraine. It's like it's ridiculous, you know. And anyway, here's the last clip that I think I didn't play. It's of Erika Kirk making a joke about like an Egyptian plane or whatever, which I don't know, just a little. Whatever.
25 countries represented plus Puerto Rico, but I have the list here. Don't worry, guys. Egypt is not on the list. Don't worry about that. But, oh, how funny. I say Egypt and my iPad turns on. That's fun.
I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it because I'm going to, you know, try to be as respectful as I can. I watched a video of her coming out to like sparklers, and she was wearing like gold glittery pants too. So she's like all gold glitter. Let's just say Charlie was alive, and let's just say like it's just a TPUSA event last year. That's even like a crazy outfit to wear at any time. Like I'm not even saying like a widow vibe or whatever. She doesn't have to dress in black her whole life. I'm not trying to overjudge her, but like, to me, that outfit's like a red flag. Like, could you imagine like Tulsi Gabbard coming out in an all gold like sequin? Like, I can't imagine any other woman. Like, if Candace wore that on stage, I would be like, that's ridiculous. If, you know, what other women are there in politics? I'm trying to think of like powerful women. Like, if JD Vance's wife wore that, I would be like, yo, that's like, it's basically screaming like, I'm trying to ball out. I want attention. I'm like a rich housewife of Beverly Hills. I'm Kim Kardashian. It's just like, it's kind of cringe. Like, imagine if I came out on stage wearing like all gold pants, glittering, a gold hat, a gold top hat, like gold Rolex. It's like, relax, bro. So, you know, I like not even considering what happened a few months ago, but just at any point, any woman that dressed like that at a Turning Point event, I would scream red flags to me. I'd be like, ooga, you know what I'm saying? Like, let alone the timing. It's like ridiculous. But, someone said you would look tight. To be honest, I have like a gold jacket, but I wouldn't go all gold pants. That's kind of crazy to me. But like even the gold jacket, there, I guess there's like a time and a place to wear it. It just wouldn't be at like a Turning Point speech. But anyway, you know, yeah, I wouldn't do the gold pants with it. But look at me, I'm no fashion expert. I'm dressed like I'm a homeless, like I'm homeless. So it's whatever. With that being said, she made an Egyptian plane joke. And here's what I find fascinating. It's funny because I said this 2 months ago and I barely talked about it. And it just ages so well. I told people 2 months ago, I was like, when Candace and Zionists are arguing over this, no matter what Candace says, somehow Zionists and like people on the Erika Kirk side find a way to say something dumber than what she said. Like no matter what she says, right? Like let's take the Egyptian plane thing. I'm not saying it's dumb because I don't know if it's true or not. To be honest, I've not even been paying attention to it. But like, let's just assume it's not true. And this is for a hypothetical. I'm not saying it's not. When it's all said and done, maybe it is. But like, let's just say Candace was wrong about that, hypothetically, right? But Candace and her people are saying these planes are following Erika. They're not saying she's on the plane. They're saying it's following her. I know that much because I've seen the clips. And then Erika comes out in the town hall or whatever, and she says, I've never even been on an Egyptian plane. And I'm thinking to myself, no one said you were on it. Like, no one's saying that. Candace is not saying that. No one's saying that. So it's like, no matter what Candace says, somehow these people say something dumber. And I'm like, is this like a Truman Show game or something where they just make, like, Candace is making them make so many mistakes And that's why people are enjoying her show. Like I said, I haven't been watching it for a month or two. It's not necessarily for me at this point. Like I'm not, it's just not what I've been watching. But every time I see clips of like what she's saying and then what Zionists are saying, it's just like, how are they making so many unforced errors? It is coming across weird because she's like, these Egyptian planes were following Erika. And then Erika's like, I've never been on an Egyptian plane. No one said you did. And then you're like making a joke about it in an all gold sequin thing at Turning Point. And it's like, what's going on here? Another thing that I feel like I made a point, and I'll just say it. I don't know why I'm stuttering, but imagine if Theo Vaughn died and then the Theo Vaughn producers just did the Theo Vaughn show for months and years. Like that would be weird. Tim Dillon, any major podcaster, Joe Rogan, like no one would want the producers to like be the stars of the show and just talk forever. Like at what point do his like producers and friends and PR people, at what point do they get their own show? They're like, and I'm not saying that they're bad people, but outside of it, like I could see that. And just to be clear too, I don't know what Candace is saying. So this is not like a cosign of everything she's saying or doing. She's entitled to her opinion and her show. I'm just letting people know now it creates this dichotomy where they're like, either you're Turning Point or Team Candace. And it's like, I mean, if you're making me choose, if it's like, do you like Ben Shapiro or Candace more? It's like, Candace, but I'm not choosing because I'm just being myself. What I'm saying has nothing to do with what she's saying. It's just the reality. It's like, these people are doing Charlie Kirk's show forever. Like, at what point do you stop? Like, did Charlie want you to sit in his seat and like talk for like, why don't you make your own show? I can't imagine another show where someone would just take over and take the seat forever and just like milk it to get like attention. It's like, dude, no one wanted to, if people wanted to listen to you when Charlie was alive, it would have been called the Your Show, but you weren't in front of the camera. At least no one cared about you. So now people have to care about you because you're sitting in Charlie's seat. Like, would Theo Vaughn's producers do it for like 8 months? Like at a certain point, you got to like stop doing someone else's show. It's just, would Sean Hannity's producers do the Sean Hannity show for 8 months? No, they'd make their own show. Like this is kind of like unprecedented that it's just such an unforced error where they're like, we don't like what make your own show, bro. You know what I'm saying? Make your own show. And then every time Candace says something and they say something, they say something like weird. It's like, I'm not on the plane. No, literally no one said you were. Whether that theory is right or not, I have no idea. But regardless, no one said you were. People are asking questions and then the PR guy comes out and is like, it was this bullet. Well, the police didn't say it was that bullet. The FBI didn't tell us it was that bullet. They didn't tell us about the autopsy report. It was Andrew Colbert or whatever, the spokesperson. So it's like, if people are asking questions, regardless of how accurate they are or not, I believe people should try to be as accurate as they can. But it's forcing Turning Point and these people to like say stuff. And then every time they say stuff, it's like the dumbest, stupidest thing I've ever heard. It's fascinating to me. It's just fascinating where it's like, I don't know. I've been staying out of it mostly because I don't know what's going on. But I'll say this too, because someone earlier was like, Tucker's, don't trust Tucker, this and that. This is my thought about everybody. I like Tucker Carlson. I don't agree with everything he says. Sometimes I feel like I completely disagree with what he says, but I like him. But here's why it doesn't really matter to me, like what he's doing or who he is, unless something like crazy happens, then they'll report on it. I'm not looking for a leader. I have the Lord, my Lord and Savior. I have my own intuition and my own discernment. If I watch Candace or I watch Nick or I watch Tucker Carlson, there's things I like about all of them. And then they all fight with each other, right? Like Nick doesn't like Candace and Tucker. Tucker doesn't really like Nick, but he kind of does. Candace doesn't like Nick. Like they're fighting. It's like, I just kind of watch them all and make my own opinion. Like I'm not quite sure why they're fighting. Like I do kind of understand, but maybe I don't. Like I don't know who started it. I don't know what's really going on. Elon calls Nick a Fed. Nick says, he thinks Tucker is because his dad was in the government. And then when you bring up that Tucker's dad was in the government, then like Tucker gets mad and was like, don't bring up my dad, which I understand. You want to show love to your family. I get it. But it's like, I don't know. It's definitely part of the story if your dad worked for the government, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful to your family. It's just, that is something, You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean he's a bad guy or you're a bad guy. And it doesn't mean you work for the government. But what I do know about Tucker is Tucker worked at CNN, right? He worked at Fox. To me, if you're a mainstream reporter doing like war reporting like Tucker used to do, you're pretty much tied in with the government because these news corporations almost work hand in hand with the government. So I think Tucker's a good guy. I like Tucker Carlson, but I'm not looking for a savior in any of these people, Nick or Tucker. So I can listen to them without looking for like a direction. And I think that's the way you don't get tricked, because so many people, they want Trump to be this, they want Tucker to be this, they want Nick to be this or Candace. And, it is what it is. Like, it's definitely entertaining. Sometimes it's very educational or investigative. And I think there's a lot of things that people can teach you and people can show you and that, you should listen to. But I think it seems like in this world, not just with that, even with politicians or celebrities or musicians or Taylor Swift, like everybody's looking for a God. But God is God. Like, no one is God. Trump is not God. Tucker's not God. Nick's not God. So, all will be revealed. And I think I can enjoy and respect and really like Tucker Carlson without, like, if at some point he does some weird gatekeeper thing and says like, hey, don't go here, Patriots, follow me. It's like, yeah, okay, that guy's clearly like setting us up. But I'll never get set up because I'm not following them. I'm not following them to an event. I'm not following them to the Capitol. I'm not following. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying you can't go to a political event, but I don't get tricked because I don't put that much stake into it. And I feel like people go all in. So someone said, you mean an idol? Yeah, you could call it a god or an idol, but basically idol worshiping, the reason it's so blasphemous is because it is kind of replacing God with an idol. You're looking for God in non-God areas. And, I guess this is what I'll say too. I'll read a few comments and then I'm probably going to take off because that's the last clip I have. The reason that, or I guess I would say my track record is pretty good in my reporting because I look for clues and my discernment goes off when some things don't add up. And this is just how I think personally, and maybe everybody doesn't agree. I understand that everyone makes mistakes. People make mistakes. People are flawed. I'm not looking for perfection in a journalist or a podcaster, but here's some telltale signs that I look for. If someone makes a mistake and it's not like an opinion, it's like objectively everyone knows they're wrong. Can you admit you're wrong, or do you double down on it? To me, no matter who the person is, if they double down when they're wrong and never admit any sort of fault, I just completely tune out, because I know if you're going to lie about one or two or three things, it's not saying everybody is perfect, but I'm just saying there's a difference between making a mistake and just literally lying. If I catch somebody literally lying even once, I'm not interested in that person anymore. At bare minimum, I don't trust them, even if they're entertaining or I'll listen to them a little bit. Like, I don't look to them for guidance because I know that they could lie. So I see through all that stuff. And with Vivek, it was one of those things where there were a lot of things that went off. And I would say 99% of conservative influencers were years late on Vivek. And I could tell you why I could see through them when everyone couldn't. First of all, I go by just off before I get into other stuff, listening to how people talk, their cadence, their style. I can feel soul. I could feel when something's authentic, and I could feel when something sounds like they're reading it off of a teleprompter and it's like, a high school speech that you're giving and you just started into public speaking. To me, Vivek was never a good public speaker. Like, Vivek is a good public speaker in a way the class valedictorian is good at reading cue cards. Like, he sounds like a guy, like he's not a good public speaker. He's good at reading and words. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference between being a passionate, amazing speaker and someone who's just good at like acting like they're that. To me, Vivek always sounded fake. Before I even knew who he was, someone showed me a clip. Look at this guy. He sounds exactly like Obama. I was like, this guy sucks. This guy is such a fake. Like, I could just tell by his voice. So then I'm like, all right, I don't like this guy. Just off my initial instinct, he sounds like a total phony. Like, he's reading something. Like, it's like and everyone's like, oh, Vivek wasn't who I thought he was. There were signs, though. There were signs of that. He sounded like someone who's putting on their dad's suit and showing up to like daddy work day. Like, I'm the boss, like that's the whole vibe I got. So then it's like, let me just Google real quick. Like, who is Vivek, right? And then it's like, he's a pharmaceutical billionaire and it's 2022 or whatever. Like, we just got out of a lockdown and then people want a pharmaceutical billionaire to be vice president. Then I do a little bit of research and I see that, he took a Soros fellowship from, I think, Soros's brother. And then I see that he tweeted, well said, George Soros, like going after China. And I'm like, so he's complimenting George Soros and agreeing with his op-ed on Twitter. He took and then I started like piecing it together, and I'm watching him be like, oh, I was broke when I did this. And then Fox News did a report and said he had million. Like I saw right through him. And then it was like my instinct versus the facts versus now I'm like piecing it together, and I'm catching him doing these fibs, but he's doing all this like word magic, like convincing people he's not lying. It was so obvious. So even with people like Nick, Tucker, Candace, Trump, like Vivek, anybody, I like a lot of, I never like Vivek. To be honest, I find Candace, Tucker, and Nick much, much higher level than Vivek. Like Vivek, I'm still blown away that people actually believed him. Like Candace sounds more authentic than Vivek. Tucker sounds more authentic than Vivek. Nick sounds more authentic. But like, I would put Vivek at like a 2 out of 10 authenticity, where Tucker and Candace are all like high level. That's why they're so popular. How did people not see that? I literally don't understand. But with other people, this is how I think, where it's like, are you willing to, like, if something's off, are you willing to say that? Are you willing to have humility? One thing I like Tucker, even though I still hear him say things that I completely disagree with. He says, yeah, I was wrong about the wars and I was, tricked, and I worked for the media. Maybe he was tricked. Maybe he just didn't know. But like at the same time, the humility to say that I was wrong. I love that about Tucker. Like that makes him more trustworthy in my opinion. And I think he's also kind of learning as he goes along, because I think a lot of these concepts, whether he knew them or not, he's not like, there's people that have been talking about it for 10 years, but that's my telltale sign, is if someone makes a mistake or someone lies or someone does something wrong and it's brought to their attention that it's wrong. If you can bring to my attention, hey, Anomaly, you said 1984, but it was really 1944. I'm like, thank you. I appreciate it. Let me correct that. I'm not going to like double down on it again. When people do that, it throws me off a little bit, where I'm like, why? I don't resonate with that. That like screams a red flag for me. But, with that sort of stuff too, it is what it is. I guess I'm in a position now where trust is earned. It's not just given. And there's definitely people who've earned my trust, but I don't know. It's easy for me to distance myself from people because I don't fully agree with anybody. And that's the beauty of being yourself, being unique, and having your own brain is, I don't think any journalist, any news analyst, any podcaster, you don't have to completely agree with them. So I think it's the main thing. Like, don't look for a person to think for you. Watch somebody that makes you think, and pay attention to ways that people are able to trick you. Because I think, before I read a few comments, I think Vivek, he was really skilled at pretending like he was being authentic. And like when I interviewed him, people were like, oh, you were mean to him, and he really answered everything great. I was like, he's very slippery. You know what I'm saying? So pay attention to ways people can convince you they're being truthful and authentic when they're really not. Because there's like word games being played where they have these like spiels and they smile a lot. Like, Vivek does the same thing like, Mamdani does. Mamdani has a nice smile, and he's like, he looks, I guess, more presentable than like Ralph Nader or whatever his name is, and like Chuck Schumer. They're like 90 years old. Like, he's not like a dinosaur, and he smiles a lot. He's always smiling, but it's like, you're not really that happy. I'm a happy person. I hope I have a nice smile. I don't smile that much when I'm in debates and stuff, like that's, it's like, you're not that happy. Vivek is not that happy. Mamdani's not that happy. They were just told that they come across when they're smiling. You're like, oh, you're making fun of me? Oh, I love it. Oh, I love when you make fun. No, you don't. Be a man. Tell me what you really think. I don't like that you're calling me out, Anomaly. Fuck you. I would respect that more than like, oh yeah, you're calling me a big farmer shill. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Mamdani. I'm Mamdani Bamaswamy. It's like, you're not that happy, bro. There's no way you're that happy the whole time. Someone just told you to smile a lot because it looks good for the cameras. Maybe it's a good strategy. Maybe it works, but I like to smile. I like to be happy, but even on my happiest day where I'm smiling the most, I'm not smiling that much, because there's a time where I'm laughing, and then there's a time where I'm serious. And if you're never serious and passionate, and you can't stop smiling to be passionate, then you're not actually passionate, and you actually don't mean anything you're saying. And neither of them ever stop smiling. It's like, oh yeah, you're saying I did that Soros thing? It's like, dude, come on, bro. We know you're not that happy, but that's like a very skilled, sneaky thing. Mamdani is a total phony too. Like, he's going to disappoint all the progressives because he's going to do whatever he has to do to stay in power and use it for leverage. But Mamdani's not this outsider. Mamdani's like a polished, Bernie Sanders who kind of figured out how to play the game and win. And people like him are going to be the future of the Democrats. And this is what the Republicans have to figure out. And the answer that they want is not the answer that we want. Do you want to lose to the Mamdanis because you're going to try to kick out the Tucker Carlsons, the Nick Fuentes, the Candace Owens of the world? Like, do you want to squander it to Mamdani? And the Israel First GOP, that they want to be a big tent for Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro and their donors, but they no longer want to be a big tent for Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Rand Paul. And there's huge differences between. I'm going to name all these people, and you can let me know what the similarity is, because in how they act, in whether they're wild or calm or chill or out there or saying a lot or not saying that a lot, I'm going to name all these names, and we can all figure out what the commonality is. Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Rand Paul, who's chiller than everybody, and Thomas Massie, who's super, super chill and not even that controversial. What do all those people have in common that Trump's trying to basically, and his like handlers and Zionists, that they're all trying to throw out of the GOP? They all aren't working for the Israel lobby, okay? That's the commonality. They'll tell you when it's like Candace or Tucker or Nick, they're too mean. Nick says racist things. Candace is too crazy. Tucker's too mean or whatever. What about Rand Paul? Is Rand Paul too mean? Is Thomas Massie too mean? Dude, Rand Paul and Thomas Massie are two of the nicest guys in Washington. I would trust them to I would go to the bathroom, leave my drink, and trust them to not do anything to it. They're like the only two people in Congress I'd probably trust. It has nothing to do with being nice, right? It has to do with that topic. So this is what's going to happen. The Mamdanis are going to, it seems like the Democrats are going to allow the Mamdanis to take over because they're not actually really threats. And the GOP is going to, sorry, I was playing with my watch. I almost knocked it off. But the GOP is going to blacklist everybody that's could compete with him and beat him in an election. And then we're going to lose the elections. But this is the part about politics that I think a lot of people are catching on to. The GOP works for their donors. They're working for Zionist donors. They're working for big pharma donors and corporate donors and artificial intelligence donors and technology donors. So they'd rather lose the election to a puppet on the left than they would to allow somebody who's not a puppet on the right, because they're not serving you. They're not serving America. They're not serving MAGA and the people that they think they are. They're serving the donors. So if, they come to the conclusion that, maybe Thomas Massie will not serve the donors, but the puppet on the left who pretends to be an outsider like Mamdani will serve the donors, they'd rather Mamdani win because they can't. Even Trump, like whether he wants to or not, can be debated. He's not in the position to serve America right now. The dude is compromised from head to toe. He can't seem to do anything. So it's like now he's basically just an Israeli lobbyist at this point. Like all he does, recently he endorsed Tony Gonzalez over the Second Amendment guy. I forget his name, like Brandon Herrera or something. And Brandon Herrera went on Crowder's podcast and explained in the last election he was leading. And at the last second, he claims that AIPAC spent $1 million in his campaign to beat the election. Tony Gonzalez takes money from AIPAC. Brandon Herrera claims that AIPAC ran money against him. Trump is endorsing Tony Gonzalez. Like Trump is basically like metaphorically AIPAC at this point. He is the Israel lobby. Basically, Trump is now just like Trump used to endorse people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now that he doesn't have to run for re-election again, I personally think either he's an idiot or he's just compromised. I wouldn't be surprised if they had so much on Trump where they're like, you have to do this or else we're going to ruin your life. And Trump is so vain and so egotistical that I don't think he cares about America. He'd rather just like put up a bunch of plaques over the White House. It's like, serve them, go pretend to dance to the YMCA, put up a plaque with your name on it, act like you're so amazing. You're Andrew Jackson, you're George Washington, whatever, but do this or else we'll ruin your life. I'm not saying that's for sure happening, but Trump seems Trump was always compromised. And I think it became more clear as his first term went on. But even for people who knew that Trump was compromised, even for myself, he's more compromised now. He actually, after he tried to go against Thomas Massie, he endorsed Thomas Massie in the main election. Like, I don't know if he would do that again. Like, he's such a shill. But that's the name of the game, and that's this whole turning point thing. It's like Israel first versus America first. Will they allow America firsters into the movement? And they'll convince you and they'll say, oh, people like Nick Fuentes are going to destroy the movement. Listen, I don't know who Nick is. Like, I don't really know what his intentions are. Everyone has an opinion about him. When he goes on Piers Morgan, he gets more views than almost anybody. He's a superstar. Nobody's giving him a platform. Whether you hate him, like him, trust him, don't trust him, no one's giving Nick a platform at this point. Nick is the platform, and he's giving them views. He's helping them. So at this point, they'll be like, oh, Nick can't win an election. Maybe not now, but I don't know. Like, the youth would rather listen to Nick than Ben Shapiro. The youth would rather listen to Candace than, everyone who hates Candace. So it's like they'll keep telling us that these people are too crazy, that nobody likes them, yet they have the biggest platforms in the world. Candace and Nick get 1 million views every time they do anything. They're superstars. I'm not asking, like, I don't care what you think about them, but how are we being told that these type of new conservatives are so mean and crazy that nobody will vote for them, but Lindsey Graham is going to get voted for? Like, dude, the old rhinos, people don't care about political correctness as much, especially the youth. The right-wing youth thinks that Trump's not right-wing enough because he's a total sellout. They're actually right. And the boomers are like, oh, everybody's being hateful. It's like, guys, we love the boomers. We appreciate you. But the whole, like, hippie piece, we're not paying attention. We don't understand immigration. Like, you fell asleep at the wheel for 40 years. Here we are. The youth is not playing around because, unlike you with your retirements and your 401ks and your vacations and the fact that you own all the land and nobody young owns anything and it hasn't been passed down, like, the youth has to live in this country. And every time you talk to, like, a boomer, and we love the boomers, but boomers will be like, I'm so glad I don't have to live in this country 50 years from now. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with all this stuff. I don't want to see these young liberal kids take over. Like, I'm so glad I'm not going to be here. But then simultaneously, you don't understand why the youth isn't as like the youth isn't 60 years old with a 401k and 3 properties. Like, the youth has no money. They're being ethnically replaced and everybody hates them and telling them to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Meanwhile, companies are firing them and replacing them with AI. It's like, is it really a big shocker why the youth thinks differently than you and the youth is, like, further right-wing than you? Why wouldn't they be? You know what I'm saying? Like, your version of conservatism is like Mitt Romney, John McCain, and, like, Newt Gingrich. Like, that's not really cutting it for everybody else. So I say all that to say this. I just, maybe people could be nicer or be better or something. But this idea that the people with the biggest podcasts and platforms, like, aren't digestible, but people that nobody likes are digestible, it doesn't really add up to me. Like, I think the GOP would be wise to at least allow someone like a Tucker Carlson in. Like, Tucker Carlson's too much for them. Thomas Massie, like, Tucker Carlson's pretty nice. He's, like, pretty milquetoast on a lot of topics. Like, Thomas Massie's very milquetoast. Rand Paul's even more milquetoast. You can't even let these people in the party? If you can't let Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, and Tucker Carlson in our party, then the Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens are inevitable. They're already inevitable, but it's like, Rand Paul's too crazy for you? Really? Because he talks about serving America and not voting for spending bills because he believes in the Constitution and he actually is conservative, like, fiscally. Rand Paul's, like, the nicest guy ever. Rand Paul would, like, tie your shoes for you. I don't understand what the GOP is thinking, but at the same time, I do. They don't serve us. They serve their donors. They serve special interests, and they're totally fine with losing because then they could just pretend the election was rigged and everybody will believe them. The election is rigged because the donors control both sides, and it doesn't matter who wins. Everybody works for the corporations and the donors in the foreign country that must not be named. That's the rigged election, not the little Trump vaccine slideshow that was always BS. And I'm going to make a video on it recently. And enough time has passed where now 99% of my audience will agree with me. Because when I was saying it in 2021, no, you're a shill anomaly because you don't think the election was rigged. I do think the election was rigged, but not the way you think it was rigged. I think it was rigged because Trump and the GOP sold out our country to Big Pharma. They allowed for it all to happen purposely. Then they set you up at the Capitol, maybe purposely, maybe not. And then they're not even letting you know that even when we vote for Trump, we're getting a lockdown in vaccine sales. Like, the election's rigged because both sides are playing along. That's the real rigged election, not this like Venezuela has a machine that Maduro like, it's all stupid propaganda. Like, you think Venezuela's rigging our elections so Trump needs to go regime change them? Bro, they wanted to regime change Maduro 10, 15 years ago. They want to regime change Maduro because he doesn't support Israel, because he works with Iran, China, and Russia, and our country's being parasitically controlled for the liberal gay world order, and they want to go after ethnically homogenous countries like China and Russia that aren't completely collapsing, and they want to turn them into Europe where they're ethnically replacing all their people. Nobody even knows that. Nobody even says that. I don't like China or Russia. I don't care for them, but it's like, do you not realize that everyone in our alliance is destroying themselves except for like Poland and Hungary? 90% of our alliance is completely destroying their own people, their own heritage. And then we got Vivek Ramaswamy on there saying everybody's equally as American as each other. Okay, bro, can I move to India and just be Indian? I'm just as Indian as everybody in India. Like, it's like no other country works that way, but Europe just needs to completely destroy itself. But the real threat isn't the people running Europe and America, guys, and stealing 40% of your taxes. The real threat is those two ethnically homogenous powerhouses over there that won't let in Open Society Foundation NGOs. That's the real threat, guys. And the neocons and the neoliberals are going to tell you that, you know, what China really needs is some liberalism. What Russia really needs is to end up like Ukraine and the UK and Germany. That's what they really need. Yeah, no, that's not what they need. You know, I'm not a fan of countries that aren't working with us necessarily, but it's like the last thing Russia and China need is to look like San Francisco or London or any of the disgraced countries that are falling apart, not because of China. China and Russia didn't do that to Europe. China and Russia didn't do that to America. Our leaders did because they're compromised and working for people who hate us. That's what's going on. The people running our country hate us. Russia didn't force a vaccine mandate in America. Democrats did that. Russia didn't do Operation Warp Speed, although they did their own little vaccine thing, but it was a different vaccine than we used. It was Trump who did that. You know, they didn't start all. It's like, I don't want to live in China. I've never even been to China or Russia, but I'm smart enough at this point to realize that the reason they're a threat to our alliance is because they're not ethnically destroying their population. And even if the liberal gay world order can destroy Canada and America and Europe and take out most of the threats because they hate Europeans and they hate Romans from this like ancient blood feud that they have, they see Russia and China as these huge threats. They're like, wait, Russia's not killing themselves like Europe and America. We got to convince a bunch of retarded people in America that they need to go fight China and Russia. And most of Democrats believe that. Most of Republicans believe that. When have you heard a Republican say what I just said? Never. I think. No one thinks. You know, and I'm not trying to, I am trying to brag, so I'm not even going to be passive aggressive about it. That's why I'm one of the best in this game. That's why I'm one of the realists. That's why I'm constantly right and my takes stand the test of time and I'm 5 years ahead of people, because I think most people are just saying what other people say. Well, I heard this on PragerU. Well, I heard this on Daily Wire. Well, I listened to a podcast and hear this. I hear things too, and I learn from other people as well. But I actually think I'm not just repeating talking points that I heard. And most people that everybody thinks are so smart, they're just repeating talking points that someone else told them. I'm thinking about these things. Who else will tell you that about why they're mad at Russia and China? Nobody. Well, anomaly, we just gotta fight China. Why do we have to fight China? China is an extremely safe country. They're extremely powerful. They're extremely smart. They're extremely low crime. What do we need to do to them that we haven't already done to the rest of the gay world? You know, liberal, I call it the liberal gay world order because it's funnier than the liberal world order, but it's like, what do you think our alliance could possibly do? Like, you think they would do something good to China or Russia? No, they would destroy it. And if Russia and China were destroyed, how would that help Europe or America? Like, in what way would that flip the demographics in our countries or stop what's going on? It literally would do nothing to help us. Nothing. I mean, if the petrodollar is strong, it would help us. And if, you know, our currency is strong, that's definitely like helpful to the people here to not be poor. But besides that, it's like we're being run by people who hate us, and they hate everybody. They hate anybody that's strong and not killing off their bloodline. Ding, 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 ding. All right, let's read a few comments, and I want to keep this under a minute and an hour and 50 minutes. So let's see what we could do. Someone said not safe to Uyghurs. I mean, yeah, it's questionable what they're doing there, but I don't know. I would have like, to be honest, at this point, I always believed what they're like, what they say about what they're doing to Uyghurs. And honestly, let's just assume that it's completely true and they're just mistreating them. It's horrible. But they said, like, if you read the media about America, you would think that Donald Trump is putting Mexicans in concentration camps when he's literally just trying to close the border. So it's like anytime people won't do what the NGOs want to do, they just run propaganda and say you're running like slave camps. Like, are they? Maybe. Did they find a certain demographic was committing a lot of crimes and doing weird stuff, and they're trying to like, they're like either leave or stop doing this? I don't know. I haven't fully researched it. Maybe it is just like this huge persecution, but it's like they could also just be lying about that, you know? One thing that I know they're lying about is like, we need to go fight Russia because like Russia's not free. That this is the talking point they used to go to like 10 years ago when I used to think of Russia. I'd be like, Russians aren't free. They don't have free speech. And that's why we're fighting Russia, because we believe in free speech. UK will arrest you over a tweet. Germany will throw you in jail for questioning history. Are we invading Germany and UK to free them? I think UK is in a worse, like if I actually was looking at Europe and I was like, listen, I really care about Europeans. I want to save them from their own demise. Do you think we'd be fighting Russia, who's completely fine, or UK, that's going to be a foreign country? And then all these Zionists are like, oh, we don't like Muslims in our country, this and that. Okay, then why don't you want to invade the UK then? They're the ones being taken over by Muslims. In Russia, they have Muslims in Dagestan, but the Muslims and the Christians get along because they're all straight shooters, and they're not like, it's not this weird liberal thing. Like they all get each other. Like Muslims and Christians get along fine in Russia, but in the UK they don't, because it's being done in a very weird, subversive, like everybody fight each other way. So it's like if we really care about Islamic invasion and this and that, then we would be fighting UK to save British people, which would actually make more sense, because if you look, and I'm not even British, I don't think I have any British DNA, but the British built a lot of great things in the world. And you look at all these stuff, even in other countries, it's like the British and French and smart people from Europe built a lot of stuff in other countries. And everyone wants to hate on Europe, like, oh, Europe's so bad. Why are some of the greatest things in the world and all over in other countries built by Europeans? Because they were incredibly advanced way earlier than other people. And then everyone will say, oh, but everyone can do the same thing. Let's see. There's certain parts of Asia, and there's certain parts of, like, I don't know exactly, like Bangladesh. I just watched a video. I don't know exactly. I think it's in Asia, but it's like there's a river that's just filled with trash and people are walking on it. It's like, why are there rivers filled with trash in Bangladesh? Because they're not creating systems to properly throw things away, and they're just putting it into the river. And it's like, you go to certain parts of Africa and they're doing things that like people aren't doing in most of the civilized world. You could come to your own conclusions, but it's like everyone can do everything. It's 2025. Why does Mr. Beast have to go there and bring them water? Why can no one on their own continent bring them water? Why is the river filled with trash in Bangladesh where they're stepping on it? They could walk on the water because there is no water. It's filled with trash because they're not building the right systems in order to keep a civilization civilized. And people are going to find out eventually, when you persecute the people that are building everything and creating stuff, and you run everybody out of town, it's like eventually systems are going to start failing in other countries too, because they don't have anybody to properly run it. And that's why liberalism is so retarded, because it's like, bro, we could talk about what I think and what you think about this and that, and we can talk about our feelings and women, and it's so nice. But at a certain point, I want the smartest people running the water supply and the trash supply and irrigation. I want that to be done. That's what matters. That's what keeps water flowing to us. That's what cleans everything. It's not like a big game where it's like, oh, I'm going to hire this person because of this. Hire someone that can do it. And in other countries, it's not being done. It's not being done the way it is here in other places. So this idea, everyone could do that. No, they can't. That's like saying, everyone can win as many gold medals as America can. No, they can't. Why? Certain countries win like no medals and certain countries win a lot. Everyone's not exactly the same. And that's what makes the world amazing. Some people are tall. Some people are small. Some people do this, some people do that. That's what makes the world go round. Everyone's not identical. We're not all the same height and the same race and the same speed. And we're just like, it's okay to be a little different. It's okay to have certain pros and cons. But when you bash like certain people where you're like, oh, they, Europe and this, it's like, let's see what happens in 70 years if they do what they look like they're doing. But the whole point that I'm trying to make is, if you think we're going after Russia because like Russia's not free, UK is just as not free as Russia. Our alliance is just as not free as Russia. Germany is not free like Russia. We're not invading people based on how free China and Russia are. Logically, then we would be invading the UK. And honestly, I'm not saying we should, because we're not in any position to invade anybody because our country's falling apart too. But it's more righteous probably to save the United Kingdom than it is to beat up China and Russia and make them like replace themselves. Like we're working for people that are legitimately evil, like ruining the world, Luckily, we live in the United States of America, and luckily the founding fathers were not Vivek Ramaswamy. So we do still have the First Amendment, and we do have the ability to speak out. In other countries, they're afraid to speak out. Like someone did a poll where they're like, more than half of the people in Germany are afraid to talk about politics. Their fear is not irrational. Their fear comes from the fact they can be thrown in prison for being correct. They can be thrown in prison for debating mass migration. They could be like, I don't like mass migration. It's ruining our country. They could be thrown in prison for that. So it's like their fear is rational. They can't speak their mind. They're being enslaved and replaced and destroyed, and nobody's coming to help them. Elon Musk is trying on Twitter. It seems like he understands it. He seems pretty based on that topic, but where's the West? Doing nothing good. But Trump's so different. No, he's not. He's working for the same liberal order as George Bush, Barack Obama, his donors, the neocons and the neoliberals, and the Zionists, who are the neocons and the neoliberals. They just made up the term neoliberal and neocon because they wanted to shield the true agenda behind that, which is being essentially part of an agenda of what other people want at the expense of us. Someone said I'm mixing up Germany and UK now. In Germany, you can go to prison for an opinion, and in UK, you can get thrown in prison for an opinion. They both are not free. I don't know the exact rules, but I know in the UK, someone's going to jail for a tweet. In Germany, I'm pretty sure you get at least like a police visit for criticizing mass migration. And I know in Germany, you go to prison for questioning World War II. I mean, not all of it. Obviously, the one part that must not be talked about, like that is a rule. Anomaly, why aren't there hundreds of pictures of Charlie's blood spatter or blood squirts? I don't know. But here's what I'll say. I'm not out here stopping you from asking questions or, like questioning things. Everyone can be inspired to look into whatever part of his assassination that you want. So I don't know why you did in all caps like you're yelling at me. Maybe that you just wanted to get my attention and it worked. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't like looked at the blood squirts, but I'm not stopping you from doing it or whatever, or the ground. Some dude went to jail for yelling bacon in the UK. Yeah, which is really dumb and not like free. But someone said war on drugs is fake propaganda, was being sarcastic. Why is that sarcastic? I mean, I feel like that's kind of true. Someone said Elon banned me on X for talking about Israel. I don't know what their rules are, but I feel like everyone talks about Israel on X. So you must have really done something crazy or been targeted, because I feel like everyone talks about Israel all the time on X. But I don't know. I can't. Someone said, let me see. But I thought Germans were bad and against Israel. Why would they pass speech laws too? I can't fully, I don't know Germany as well, but I've been paying attention to Australia and listening to people there. And it seems like if Germany's similar, they do this thing because like even in America, it's like George Soros, I'm not going to say. Miriam Adelson, I'm not going to say. It's like you have different groups like AIPAC, and then you have other groups that, and like they fight, but at the same time, they both agree on certain things. I think Germany and Australia are like that. It's like Australia has all these anti-Semitism rules and laws, and they're trying to pass it. But the whole like Australia thing is like, oh, we're we support Palestine. We don't like what Israel's doing, but at the same time, we need these Jewish speech laws here. So I'm sure Germany is the same thing. Like Europeans are very like soft, and liberal. It seems like they're way softer and more liberal. So it's like their liberalness and their softness makes them support Palestine over Israel. But then at the same time, their like liberal retardedness also supports speech laws. So like, it doesn't make sense. You're right. Like, how do they support Palestine over Israel, but they're still passing these Israeli Jewish speech laws? It's like, they're retarded. I don't know. Like, that's the European brain for you. It's like, they're like, and it's like, I love Europeans, but you know, it's like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, you're against this country and you want to speak out against this country, but the politicians that are speaking out against this country are also adopting an international definition of anti-Semitism that doesn't allow you to say that. None of it makes sense, but it feels like every world leader seems very controlled. Trump will break his anti-Semitism laws that he passed, but then he'll still pass them. So with the Australia and Europe, it's a little more nuanced where like the people and the politicians, they don't seem to like fully support everything the Israeli government's doing. But it's similar to me to like, say like a Chuck Schumer or like one of these like Democrat politicians. They'll be like, we don't like what Israel's doing. We don't like Netanyahu. But it seems like they just don't like Netanyahu. But it's like, if they got another leader in, they would support it. So it's like Chuck Schumer like doesn't like what Israel and Netanyahu's doing, but he's a Zionist and he also passes the speech laws when he gets a chance. So it's like, what's going on? To me, it's a lot of like kabuki theater, a lot of leveraging. And Democrats know they have to pander to their side a little bit. But there's also a sort of thing too, where like maybe a lot of people don't like Netanyahu and they want a different Israeli leader. It's not like Netanyahu has forever run Israel. Israel's had different politicians. They've had people that wanted to be more, you know, not as extreme in when it comes to the war agenda. So there is a chance that foreign leaders, you know, pass the speech laws, but they're not fully supporting like the Netanyahu agenda. But I can't speak for others. I don't know why. Like, why do they do things that make no sense? I wish I knew. If they made sense, then I wouldn't have to talk about them. But nothing they do ever makes any sense. So I don't know. I'll read any super chats. I'm going to scroll up and see if anybody did one, but like, I don't know if I missed any. Sorry. I don't see any recently. The funniest thing, and I'm not asking for anything because I'm about to leave in a second, but when I'm talking, everybody sends super chats. And I always try to tell people, I'll take it. I appreciate it. But I really want to focus on my show or else my show just becomes sloppy. And then at the end, I'm like, everyone super chat me. People sent like 15, 10 super chats earlier. And then when I'm here for 30 minutes, just doing nothing, talking, you know, spitballing, nobody sends a super chat. I'm not asking for one now. I'm just saying, if you want me to read your comment for sure, wait till the end when I say, hey, super chat now. I don't understand the point of people doing it earlier, but it is what it is. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah to my Jewish watchers. I'm going to stop saying happy Kwanzaa because like nobody really actually supports that except for like a few people. But let me take that back or else that'll be a clip. Happy Kwanzaa and Merry Christmas. You know, I'm very politically correct here. Santa, maybe he existed, maybe he didn't, maybe he was white, maybe he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Santa is just kind of what you make of it at this point. You know what I'm saying? Saint Nicholas could have been Saint Vivek or Saint, you know, Saint Punjabi MC or something. His name could have been anything, but you know, I don't know. It's all good. Whatever you want to believe, you can do that. This is a safe space, okay? We're open to all ideas. This is mine though. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Dreamrare.com. Check it out. Spelled like that. I got a shop. I got these hats. They're made in America. I don't know how to prove this, but I want to say these are some of the best hats that I've ever made and ever, like, I don't think most people are selling merch that's this good. When you get this hat, you'll put it in your hand and be like, oh, this isn't like cheap, you know? And these hats are very comfy. I wear them all winter because it's cold and it keeps my ears warm. So that's what it is. Appreciate y'all. Dreamrare.com.